Hey, Valentine's Day is around the corner, and I've got some great fragrance gift ideas for you in this video. If you're a woman and you're looking to buy a fragrance as a gift to your husband, boyfriend, or another man in your life, or if you're a man and you're looking for something for yourself, I've got fragrances broken down into 6 different categories, and I'm going to let you know what these amazing fragrances are coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Sebastian, talking to you about great fragrance gift ideas or options for a Valentine. If you're a woman and you want to gift your husband, boyfriend, or another man in your life an amazing fragrance, or if you're just a man and you want something for yourself, I've got them broken down into 6 different categories. We've got aromatic, we've got amber, we've got citruses, we've got leather, spicy, and woody. And I've got 3 options in each of the categories. I decided to pick some of the most masculine categories. So I think if you're a man in your life or you are used to wearing something that's not necessarily overly unisex, these will be great options. So let's start with the aromatic category. And if you don't know what aromatic means, usually referring to herbal notes, aromatics, lavender, geranium, tarragon, any kind of herb that grows, it's utilized in fragrances. And it also can refer to trees or any kind of aromatic type of ingredients in the world. It can refer to cypress and things like that as well. Juniper, that tend to have an aromatic quality about them. But the first option I want to highlight here is from AMOUAGE. It's Beach Hut Man. One of the best fragrances out there, utilizing the mint note. I absolutely love this. And even though it's called Beach Hut Man, it doesn't necessarily come off very beachy. I don't know where the name really comes from, but for me, it's like one of the best representations of mint in a fragrance. And it's actually mint combined with ivy and galbanum. So it's very green, it's very herbal, and also woody and spicy. So it would make a great gift for someone that's looking for something aromatic and spicy and woody. And then we're going to the house of Tom Ford with BEAU de JOUR. BEAU de JOUR is definitely one of the best barbershop fragrances. Fougères. This one utilizes a ton of different lavender styles. In addition to the lavender, there's also other aromatic notes, herbal notes like rosemary. There's a mint, basil, geranium, in addition to patchouli and oakmoss. So it's a great barbershop-y fragrance. I recommend that one as a great designer option. And then we've got a fragrance from the house of Rogue Perfumery. It's Mousse ILLUMINEE. And this is definitely a different take on an aromatic fragrance, a barbershop style fragrance. It's quite spicy and green, but there's a slight booziness under there. It is utilizing white floral notes, a lot of oak moss here, and definitely more of an indie take on a barbershop fougère style fragrance, but totally different. All 3 of the fragrances here are so different in this category and definitely highly recommended from me. So that's Rogue Perfumery's Mousse ILLUMINEE. So on to the amber category, and I've got 3 awesome examples of amber fragrances. And if you don't know what amber fragrances are, they utilize typically ambergris, and not commonly, but usually the amber fragrances that I'm going to highlight here are utilizing resins and balsamic notes and vanillic notes to create an amber accord. They typically also feature labdanum, and this is what kind of creates that kind of ambery effect. It's a resin. So we've got Chanel's Le Lion here for a really, really great example of a designer amber, one of the best fragrances created from Chanel, I think. And this one utilizes labdanum and amber and patchouli vanilla. There's a little citrusy undertone in there as well. It's a bit on the animalic side, powdery, woody, spicy, and definitely a fine, fine example of an amber fragrance. It's Chanel's Le Lion. Something a bit more mass from the house of Maison Francis Kurkdjian. It's Grand Soir. I know this one's very popular with a lot of folks. And for me, this is a great balsamic resinous amber fragrance. And for me, when I wear this one, I get the idea or the experience of a little bit of a dusting of cacao. There's a slight chocolatey undertone here, but in the end, it's ambers, benzoin, vanilla, tonka, labdanum. Really great example of an amber fragrance with a bit more of a mass appeal. And then the classic of them all from the house of MAITRE Parfum Red Gantier, it's Ambre Presso. This one's definitely been around for a long time when amber fragrances were not your typical popular, genre of niche perfumery. This one came on the scene in '88 and definitely is quite spicy and balsamic, resinous take on an amber fragrance. It's a really, really great fragrance with, balsamic notes, resinous notes, plus aromatic notes and spices together. So that's Maitre Parfumeur at Gantier's Ambre Presso, and a fine example of 3 amazing amber fragrances if you want to gift a man an amber fragrance. So on to the citrusy category, and we've got 3 awesome citrus fragrances here. And if you don't know what citrusy fragrances are, just imagine citrus fruits, and citrus fruits being the dominant or the standout note in the fragrances. So you'll smell very fresh, whereas the first category, aromatic, was mostly fresh, but also deeper, darker notes. Ambers are darker, more heavier notes. Here we have citruses, which tend to go very fresh and easy to wear. We're starting off with Jovois Aqua Memorabilis right here. This is a newer fragrance, and I haven't spoken much about this one, but to me it's a combo of a lot of different citruses, and it's a citrus bouquet come to life. We've got clementine here, bitter orange, grapefruit, and then we've got a lot of woods and spices and, musky notes that come in as well to kind of like extend the life of the fragrance, because if you just do citruses, they don't usually last, but this one has enough notes to kind of move the fragrance along and make it longer lasting than your just typical citrus. But for me, it's a nice, pleasant, bright, happy, musky citrus fragrance with spices and wood. So that's Aqua Memorabilis from the house of Jovois. Then we've got Sospiro's Vibrato, and this one has a lot of grapefruit with ginger, so it's a bit zingy and spicy, but eventually it gets musky, earthy, woody in the dry down. So if you're looking for something longer lasting, this is the kind of fragrance you would go with. It's also super sexy, and that kind of combo of the ginger and grapefruit together gives you that kind of zing and spice with a citrusy edge. So it's really, really fantastic offering and a perfect gift for a man, I think. So that's Vibrato from the house of Sospiro. Then going to the house of Nishane, and I'm throwing in this one because it is very citrusy, even though it's a tea-focused fragrance. It's Oolong Cha, and I'm going with the original. You can go with the X version as well. The X version is a bit more amplified with a creamy magnolia note, but here we've got tea, bergamot, orange. There's also fig and lychee, mandarin, musk, and nutmeg. In the end, it's a tea fragrance. It's really, really cozy for me, but super fresh and also a bit green leaning, and it's one of the best tea fragrances out there on the market. And even though it's kind of lighter notes, it does have great lingering power. I wouldn't call this a beast or anything, but if you're looking for something super strong as a citrusy fragrance, the Sospiro would do, but the other 2 fragrances are also fine examples of citrusy fragrances. So up next, we're going to the leather category. We've got 3 awesome leather fragrances here, and if you don't know leather basically is leather. You're used to it when you're wearing the jackets, you're using, wearing shoes that are leather. So however that smells, they kind of smell like that in fragrances as well. For me, leather fragrances are some of the most masculine offerings, and we've got 3 fine leathery fragrances here. The first of which is African leather, and this one is actually very spicy as well. It could have fit into the spicy category, which is coming up next. But in the end, it settles down to a leather, but it's an overdose of cardamom and saffron and cumin here. We've got some aromatic notes as well. We've got musk and citruses. But in the end, oud and leather kind of basically create the base of this fragrance. And along the way, you're kind of journeying through a African spice market and then ending up with the leather in the end. So it's African leather, probably the best leather fragrance from that house. I really enjoy that one. Then going to the house of Van Cleef & Arpels. This is from the collection extraordinaire. It's called Orchid Leather. Julien Rascanet creation, and a really, really fine example. This came out during the pandemic, and I ordered it from Europe, and it came, and I was like, wow, this is so good. It's vanilla and leather together plus plums, so it's warm, it's spicy, and then there's also the fruitiness in here, eventually getting to an ambery and leathery base when it's drying down. So it's leather, but it's also kind of warmer and spicier and fruitier, so it doesn't make for the leather to be extremely intense and animalic. It's definitely wearable and slightly gourmand fruity as well. So this is Orchid Leather from the house of Van Cleef & Arpels from the collection extraordinaire. And then last in the leather collection, it's Nasomato's Duro. So this is a woody leather fragrance, uber masculine, very intense, lots of woods here, so probably have cedar and sandalwood and other woods notes, perhaps oud as well. And then you've got a lot of leather in this, and then spices. So it just wears very, very masculine. This could have also ended up in the spicy category and also the woody category, but I put it here because it's got that leather and it's definitely very noticeable. It's definitely a top 5 Nasomatto for me, and I like how masculine it is. And it's a great, great example of a woody leather fragrance from an Italian house called Nasomatto. So that's Duro. That's a great option for a gift for someone. And then moving on to the spicy category, we've got 3 great examples of spicy fragrances here. If you don't know spicy category, any kind of spice you would use at the house, consider that in a fragrance. Could be cumin, could be cardamom, could be saffron, all of these kind of spices. Ginger is another. You can utilize these in fragrances and they make the fragrances smell spicy. So we've got Marc-Antoine Barrois' Ganymede first. Even though this is a very minerally fragrance, it's got an overdose of saffron here and other notes and ingredients here that create a spicy effect as well. So it's saffron with mandarin. There's violet here, creating an ozonic touch. Osmanthus with its kind of slightly leathery fruitiness. Akigala wood for that kind of patchouli effect. And the immortelle note, which is also supplying its own spicy characteristic. Also some sweetness and hay-like qualities. But a really, really wonderful offering from Marc-Antoine Barrois. Ganymede, definitely super sexy. It's become so popular nowadays. It's almost like the latest Baccarat Rouge style fragrance that's got a huge following. Then we're going to a designer house, going to the house of Cartier. It's Declaration Parfum. Declaration Parfum is a fine example of a parfum concentration of, you know, the original Cartier Declaration from the late 90s. This came out probably around 2017, 2018. Definitely they took it to the next level. They modernized it, intensified it. Lots of cumin here. There's cardamom. There's also birchwood, woodsy notes, spices, and a bit of citrusy touches as well. It's a great, great example of a woody, spicy fragrance, but I'm utilizing it for the spices here because it's overdosed with cardamom and cumin, and these kind of basically highlight the woods under there. So this is Cartier Declaration Parfum. And then I'm going to a fresh spicy fragrance here. This is Mise en Cyre's Eau de Gingembre. Oh my god, one of the finest examples of ginger in fragrances. I love the way ginger tastes, and I also love the way it smells. And here, a very fresh example with a realistic smelling ginger in here. So it's ginger, bergamot, there's neroli, petitgrain, there's fig leaves, cypress, and woods. This could have also fit into the aromatic category, could have fit into the citrus category because it's got a lot of citruses, it's got citrus floral notes, but what's dominating is the ginger note. It's a ginger focused fragrance, and what went along with the ginger in this fragrance are all the citruses and the green notes and aromatics and woods. Really, really great example of a fresh spicy fragrance. This is Mise en Cyre's Eau de Gingembre. Let me know if you're familiar with that one. And last but not least, we're going to the woody category. I think woody fragrances tend to be very masculine, and I've got some great examples of woody fragrances here, and I think these would make great gifts for a man in your life or for yourself if you're a man. The first fragrance is from the house of Atelier Materi. It's Cedra Figalia. So this is a cedar focused fragrance and also figs. The combination is really, really great. In the end, it's very, very woody. Lots of cedar here, lots of other woodsy notes as well, but you also have a lot of fig leaves, mate, spinach, and basil. So in the end, it becomes very, very green and aromatic and spicy against the cedar and the woodsy notes in here. So it's smooth also, and I feel like there is sandalwood in this because the wearing experience is quite creamy. And if you are into fragrances like Philosopus, but you want something a bit more oomph, a little more interesting, a little bit more modern, I think Cedra Figalia will satisfy. I think they did a great job with this one. So Cedra Figalia is an awesome, awesome fragrance from the house of Atelier Materi that's focusing on woods. The next fragrance going to the house of Maison Crivelli. It's Oud Stallion. And even though it's an oud, considered a woody note, this is also very leathery, so this could have fit into the leathery category. But I'm putting it here, so it's a nice combo of a leathery, woody fragrance. It's got leather accord, oud, saffron, tonka beans, and cedar. No fruity notes in this one. It's mostly about the woods and the leather together, and some spices and aromatics thrown in. So in the end, if you like a very masculine fragrance, super long lasting, focusing on leather and oud, not going extremely animalic, but there is some light funk in there. I think the Oud Stallion should satisfy. If you are familiar with that one, check it out. But it is a very long-lasting fragrance because it comes in extrait de parfum concentration. And the last fragrance I'm going to end with is from the house of AMOUAGE. It's Search. And I fell in love with this one because it's a unique take on a citrusy fragrance. It's fresh, also lots of woods, but there's also some smoky touches coming in as well. In the end, it's very highlighted with the vetiver note, and there's a lot of gaiac in this, but you've got that green frankincense and cade juniper, plus addition of citruses. So it wears very fresh, but woody and deep as well, with smoky notes running throughout it. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but it grew on me quite a bit, and it's also garnered me compliments. And I think if you're looking for something a little unique, something woody and spicy, and also a bit smoky and citrusy, I think this is just going to satisfy. It's a great, unique, original creation that really does it for me, and I highly recommend it for somebody to gift to someone because, you know, it's a great fragrance from the house of AMOUAGE, and it's not necessarily one of the most spoken about fragrances, but great quality work. So AMOUAGE Search is the last fragrance I'm going to recommend. Anyway, guys, those are my gift ideas for a man in your life, or if you're a man, if you want to gift something for yourself, and these are going to be satisfactory for someone that wants something new and interesting to wear. But let me know your thoughts on these fragrances. Let me know if you do gift people in your life fragrances, and let me know if you've sampled these fragrances and what your thoughts are on these fragrances. Either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video, please share it, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.